So welcome to class. Yesterday we were able to dive into some fundamentals of uh, Linux operating systems. Some of the commands we've been looking at, commands like the man commands, command like the pwd, and so on and so forth. And I showed us one of the virtualization tools, which is a type 2 hypervisor. Who can remind us that from yesterday's class? Anybody? What other type 2 hypervisor do I mention yesterday? Mr. Benedict, you want to help us? Hello? Hello? Are we still in class, please?
So I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I said who want to remind us the type of hypervisor, type 2 hypervisor we discussed about yesterday. Nobody? How many of us are taking notes of the class? Let me ask this.
Yeah, can you hear me?
How many of us
You
are
said we
taking
have
notes?
the base hypervisor and
Okay. I made mention of I made mention of the fact that we have VirtualBox, Oracle VirtualBox, a type 2 hypervisor, and yesterday I showed us workstation player, workstation, VMware workstation, VMware workstation. And I shared with us the interface of the VMware workstation, which is this Workstation 16 Pro. I have it installed on my own machine, and I installed a particular network software called EVNG. And on this EVNG, the EVNG is actually an Ubuntu system, a Linux operating system. And I showed us that yesterday here. If I do LL, you could see root ls. You could see what are inside. This is an Ubuntu machine. If I say who am I, like I told us yesterday, it tells me that I'm the root. This is the EVNG. This is a networking software actually. But then I have it on a graphical user interface, which is this Linux. So let me power up this guy now. So I installed a CentOS Linux operating system on this guy. I've been able to carry out one or two things before the class started. Who can remind me one of the things we did yesterday, or one of the commands we looked at yesterday? I think I could see two of us that were in class yesterday.
Sorry, we cannot see your screen. We cannot see your screen.
Okay, hold on. How about now? Can you see my
Yes,
screen
it's
now?
showing now.
Okay.
Yes.
So who can remind us some of the things we learned yesterday, some of the commands we learned, and what were those commands used for? Which of the commands can you remember or recall from yesterday's class so that we take a step from there today?
know if it's from my own end.
I cannot hear him too. I think his internet is not so nice.
So can you
Okay.
hear me now? Because I can hear you.
I can
Yes,
hear
I
you
can
now.
hear you now, sir.
Okay. All right, let me switch to my mobile data. All right. So can you hear me and can you see my screen? Please confirm.
I can hear you. I can see your screen.
All right. So I said from yesterday's class, what can you recall from yesterday's class?
Um, some of the commands we learned yesterday were the man command, which is for the manual. We learned the Q command, which is to quit. We learned the PWD, which is the present working directory.
All right. Thank you. Now I want us to follow
Okay.
strictly the outline, the class outline. So by God's grace, we've been able to finish up with this first class, which talks about what? Linux operating system, the Linux distribution, type 2 hypervisor, and their installation. And we have been able to create our what? Our new machine. We have downloaded the Linux CentOS. We have installed the operating system on our VM, right? Now, we have also moved further and shell prompt, navigation, then common commands. So we are looking at MK here. What is MKDIR? What does it mean?
Make directory.
Now, look at this place now. Who can remind us what's the meaning of all this we have there?
So we have the the root user who now created Kayode and Isivera and other people as other users.
Okay, fine. So we have these names that are shown here are users that we have created on this machine or this virtual machine. I can choose not to want to use any of these user here and say not listed. If I say not listed, I can put the root here, username as root. So far I know the root user and I put my password there. Now, how would I know if I am the root user here? Who can tell me? How would I know if it's the root user that logs in into this machine? Can anyone tell me?
You can do the who am I command.
Fantastic. I can do the who am I command. That's one way. We are going to do that now. The who am I command tells me who is in the or who is the user. So let's log in now. Open terminal, right? Please, this class should be an interactive class. As such, I expect people to talk. So the first thing you used to know is look at this place. What do we see? Root at what? Are we still here, please?
Yes, we are here.
So root at what? CentOS, meaning it is the root user that logged in. And I can decide to say, who am I, right? It tells me I am the root. Miss Esther, are you here?
Yes, sir.
Do you get what we are doing here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we said, who am I? It tells me. Then I can say print working directory, PWD. It tells you that you are what? You are in the root directory.
Mm.
So these are the ways through which you can know who actually is the person who logged in into your machine, your server, your system. So we said we look at some commands yesterday. But now, if I want to switch to another user, remember we have different users. If you look at the interface of that machine the other time, we have Kayode, right? We have Isivera, we have Benedict, we have Shola. So I can do what? Who can tell me the command if I want to switch to another user now? This is how I will know if we are learning.
Change direct. Change to switch to another user.
Yes.
The su command, I think.
All right. We said the su and the name of the user. So I want to switch to Kayode now. So I say Su Kayode. Did you see that now? Can you see this now? That we
Yes.
are no longer having roots at CentOS now. We are having what? Kayode at.
CentOS.
So if I say, who am I now? Who am I? You see is what? Who is working now?
Coyote.
Kayode. If I say print working directory, you say what? Slash home slash what? Kayode. I am in the home directory of Kayode. Are we here?
Yes.
Any question? Please ask your question. Is there anything you don't understand where we've done here?
No.
No. All right. So we said we look at some commands yesterday. One of the command is the man command. And the man command we said is what? Is manual. If I type man alone and I press enter, it tells me what? Miss Esther, can you read this for us? It says what?
What manual page do you want?
It said what manual page? In other words, you cannot just type the man. You need to attach or include another command that you want to know something about. So if I say man cd, cd means what? Change directory, right? So I say man and I put enter. I'm going to see the full meaning of what does the cd, what does it do? So let's quit this. It said name, batch, alias, bigs, all of the stories, general command manual. All right, let's quit. Coming. So we say man pwd for instance. Now, what does this say? Pwd says what? Print name of current or working directory. So we just try to do a broad overview of what we did yesterday. But then we concluded yesterday by saying that there are some commands that is for administrative users. Okay, some of the other commands we look at yesterday, because I'm going to be taking down that yesterday video. We look at the echo command. Echo. What do we say echo command help us to do?
To print the terminal.
To print on the terminal. Thank you. This is the this is the command used to print on the terminal. Okay. So echo. Now we look at that. We look at changing directory. Like if I say ls now, these are the directories or files that are in Kayode's home directory. and we said we can use LL, right, to get it vertically. So I hope we are taking note of those commands because we are now going to be moving ahead now. Now, let's create a user. Yesterday, we were trying to do something whereby we were saying that there are some things we want to do as an ordinary user that we don't have the administrative privilege to do, right? Now, I've been able to make Kayode a sudo app, but I created a user, Benedict, who does not have a, who is not part of the sudo app. I will explain. Say, for instance, let's create Esther, for instance. Let's create user Esther. I said if I want to create a user Esther, right? Who can record the command to create a user on the Linux system? Anybody? Sudo what? Sudo user what? Add Esther. Are we there? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I think you are
We
doing.
are there, sir. We are there, sir.
Okay. So I said if I want to add a user Esther to this, to some of those users there, I say sudo user add Esther. You see, he asked me for password for Kayode, and I remember we said Kayode 123 yesterday. So successfully I've added, you see there is no error. I've added Esther. So I can now say sudo password because I want to create a password for Esther. Sudo password Esther. So it will ask me new password for user Esther. I say Esther, I say Esther 123. Remember your password, please. As well, Esther 123. So it tells me that what all authentication token updated what successfully. So I have successfully created Esther. Do you see now? With Kayode, I don't have any error. I want to create Esther, or I successfully created Esther. Now I want to switch to Benedict. Benedict is not part of the sudo app, and we will see the error now. So how do we switch to another user? Who can remind me? Are we still in this
What
class?
did you say?
How do I switch to Benedict? I want to switch to Benedict as the user of this system.
Sue Benedict.
So Sue Benedict. So he asked me for password. Benedict, what's your password? So I didn't get your password. Benedict.
2, 3.
Okay, Benedict 123. So we could see this now. I am in Benedict. Now, who just joined the class now? I think I can see Mr. You just joined the class. Please signify your name, please. I saw
Hello,
somebody.
sir. It's Okai Raphael, sir. I just joined, sir.
Okay. Your name again?
Okai Raphael, sir. Okay.
Okay, Raphael. So let's create.
That's goodness. Yes, sir.
Okay, good, goodness. Thank you. Let's create a user. Now, let's try to use Benedict to create a user. The way we use Coyote to create a user. Are we here? Now, what do? We say sudo what? Sudo user add goodness. Goodness is the user we want to create. He asked for password for Benedict. We say Benedict 123. He took it. Fine. Let's see. Sudo password goodness. He said we should change password for goodness. So let's say goodness 123. Fine. Goodness 123. Oh, fantastic. So that means Benedict is also a pseudo user. Now let's switch to Benedict to Esther. Let's use Esther to create another user. Surely we can be sure that Esther is not a sudo. So let's say sudo Esther now. Password for Esther, Esther 123, right? So I hope we can see that now that we are in what? We are in Esther. How do we know? Esther at what? At CentOS. That's one. And we can say, who am I? Right? Which is what? Esther. So let's use Esther to create another user. Let's just use it to create, let's say Mayokun, for instance. So sudo user add Mayokun. What did he say? Can somebody read this to me?
We trust you have received the usual lecture from the local system administrator.
Uh-huh.
It usually boils down to these three things.
Uh-huh.
Respect the privacy of others.
Mm-hmm.
Think before you type.
Mm-hmm.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Now let's put Esther
Password
password.
for Esther.
He said we should put Esther password. Esther 123. Read the next thing. What did he say?
Esther is not in the sudoers file. This
Uh-huh.
incident will be reported.
Can somebody explain what just happened now to me from yesterday's class?
That's because Esther is not part of the pseudo or she doesn't have an admin privilege.
Fantastic. Esther is not part of the sudo file, so it's not giving the opportunity to be able to do what? To create a user. Now, so yesterday we tried to want to add a user to the sudo file. We couldn't. So we want to do that now. So look at the command. If I want to do that, because Esther is not part of the sudo file, I cannot use Esther account to add Esther to the sudo file. Are you with me? I need somebody who has the root privilege or who is part of the sudo file to be able to do this. Do we understand that? So I needed someone like Kayode or Benedict or the root administrator himself to be able to do that. Do we get this? Or should I explain again?
So let me understand something. You added Esther as a user, right?
Yes,
What kind of user is she now?
normal user.
So what kind of user is myself and Kaya, the administrative user?
Now, Kayode has been added to the sudo file. Benedict as well has been added to the sudo file. We will have to confirm if you are part of the sudo file based on the administrative access you have. I've not checked with your
Okay.
account.
Okay, so which means that after creating a user, you have to add them to the sudo file.
You need to add them to the sudo file if you want them to be able to carry out administrative tasks.
Okay, and the command to add to sudo file is what? Su the person's name.
No, that's what we want to do now. If you want to add to sudo file.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so for you to add any user to the sudo file, you need somebody who is already a part of that sudo file. Esther is not part of the sudo file, so we need to log in with someone who is part of the sudo file. Now, there's what we call the wheel. There's what we call the wheel file or wheel group. Let me write it in cap. Wheel. This wheel group is where we will add the person to, and he will be able to do sudo privileges or have the ability to carry out administrative tasks. I want to be using the word root because administrator in Windows is the root user in Linux. So the next thing I will do now is I want to add Esther now. Remember, Esther wanted to add Mayokun, he couldn't add Mayokun, right? He gave us an error that Esther is not in the sudo file. So the next thing I need to do is to switch user. Let's switch to Benedict, okay? Because we know that Benedict is part of the sudo file. Let's switch to Benedict. So Benedict, 1, 2, 3, right? So we are in Benedict now. How do I know? Who am I? I remember telling us yesterday, if I want to clear my screen, what do I use? What command? Who can record that for us? Hello,
I think the command should be clear.
Claire, thank you. So Claire, I've cleared my screen now. What did I want to do? I want to know if I want to add Esther to the sudo file. So the next thing to do is to say there is a command, and the command is sudo user. So we're using a command yesterday, but we did not add the wheel because the user has to be part of the wheel group in order for us to be able to add the user. So the wheel group are those group of people or administrators that are grouped together in order to be able to carry out their administrative tasks. So we say sudo user mode hyphen a capital G. Are we there? So wheel. Remember I told us the wheel group. Then who is the user? Esther. Did we see this? Benedict. 1, 2, 3. Look at this command very well. What did it say? Write down that command is very important. In order to add a user to the wheel group, sudo user mode hyphen ag will then the user you want to make a sudo. Do we understand this, or anybody have a question before we move on?
Yeah, I have a question
Okay.
concerning the wheel you just added right now. Is the wheel is it user defined, or like is it predefined by
It's
the
not the will is for all CentOS operating system. It's a file, it's a group in your system. Okay, let's do something now. You get what I'm saying now. If you want to confirm if this person belongs to the will group, huh? If you want to confirm, just say group Benedict. Did we use the word? It's supposed to be groups and not group. Look at it. Benedict is in what group? Can you say this to me?
yes, I can. Okay.
And what are the groups that you belong to here?
The wheel group.
You are in Benedict first. You are first in Benedict group, and then you are in the Will group. Let's do that to Kayode. Let's say groups Kayode now. Do you see Kayode? Just only Kayode. Kayode is not in the Will group. Let's do that for another user. Groups. Which other user do we have there? We have Shola, right? Shola is only in Shola group. It's not in the Will group. So let's do it for Esther. Groups Esther. What did you see now? Esther, can you tell me how many groups do you belong to now?
2 groups.
So you are in the will group. Since you are in the will group now, you are going to be able to perform that task you could not perform the other time. So let's switch back to Esther now. So what? Esther, right? Esther 1, 2, 3. So CD. Are we there? Let's clear our screen. Esther was trying to do what? To add Mayokun the last time. So, Miss Esther, can you tell me the command now? You want to add Mayokun as a user. Tell me the command you will use.
Sudo add Mayoko.
Sudo add Mayokun.
Sudo user add Mayoko.
Okay, sudo user add Mayokun. Is there any error now? It said I should put your password. Esther 123. Okay, it's a password is wrong. Esther 123. Okay, do we see any error again? No. It means you have been able to carry out that. So the next thing is to say sudo password Mayokun, right? You want to create password for Mayokun. You say change my so Mayokun 123. Mayokun 123. What did he say now? All authentication token updated what? Successfully. Do we see what we just did here now?
Yes, sir. But I have a question.
All right,
Why
fine.
is the wheel group very important?
Now, the wheel group is very important because this is the this is the group that contains the admin access or root privileges. You know, you cannot just create a system and allow everybody to be able to do anything they like. They believe that only the people who have been educated on how to use the Linux operating system very well should be added to the wheel group. Do we understand this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I will explain this way again. You know, it's possible for if you buy a new iPhone, can you give it to a small girl of 6, 7 years old who does not even know how to use it? Will you give it to the person to go and play with an iPhone of say 700,000?
No, sir.
Will you answer me?
No, sir.
No, because you know how expensive it is and how delicate it is. So, what we're saying here is that the wheel group is what makes us understand that we have a very complicated system here and we cannot afford to mess up with it. And as such, only people who understand how to use Linux should be part of it because you want to be carrying out administrative tasks. Do we get that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, can we move on now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's check the group for the groups that the other user belongs to, say groups. You see, uh, so this shows that this person is only part of her own group and not in the wheel group. Let's try to see if she can carry out some administrative tasks now. So 1, 2, 3. So we are there now. So let's see if she can create a user. Sudo user add. Somebody should give me any name. Okay, Kazim. We have Kazim in class. Have we seen this kind of error before?
Yes.
What does it mean now?
It means the user isn't in the wheel group, so she
Yes,
doesn't have the access to add another.
thank you. You say what? Can you read what it says now?
A severa is not in the sudoers file.
5. This incident will be reported. In other words, the root user, the administrator will get to know that this person is trying to do what is trying to access what is not hers. She shouldn't be given the privilege to do this. That's what that is saying. All right. So let's move on to I want to believe we can create user by now, right? So let's go to how to delete a user. So let's change. If I want to change back to uh, Esther, what do I do? Right? So let's clear our screen. So how do I delete a user? We've created some users. How do I delete a user? I say sudo user deal or del. So, and which user have I created? Let's delete this. It's asked me for the password. What did he say?
User is Severa is currently used by process
I
5562.
can kill that process by saying kill. We are going to be talking about those process. I can copy this and paste. So I can kill this process. It said operation not permitted. So let's use sudo kill 5584. Do you see that now? Normal, you need the for you to kill a process, you need the admin privilege, which is the sudo. You see how important the sudo command is now. Are we staying in class, please?
Yes.
Okay. So let's try to delete another user. Say sudo user delete. Say goodness. Did you see that? It's been deleted. Once you did not see any error, it tells you that the command has been successfully taken.
Okay.
So let's try to see if that process has been successfully also killed. Okay, it's still running. So, but let's leave that and move on to the next command.
But I have a question.
Okay,
Yeah.
please do ask.
Yeah, you just did something now, and you're like, whenever you don't see an error, it means your command has actually run.
Yeah, successfully been taken. Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't that make Linux or this CentOS non-responsive?
Non-responsive in what way?
Because if it's were to be Windows, if you delete something, take for instance a user, even in Windows Server, and it always prompts you that this user has been deleted or something like that.
Okay. Now, before you will be given access to be able to delete anything on Windows on Linux, they expect that you already understood how the Linux operating system works. So this won't tell you that it won't tell you that it's been successfully deleted. No, like let's say for instance, um, let's quickly create one user and delete the user. Say user add, sorry, sudo user add shell. Okay,
My boy is there. Okay, so
sudo
just hold on. Okay.
password shell. So let's say shell 123 shell 123. Now you now come up and decide you want to delete the user. Or how do I know that this user has been created? You can just say groups, Sheung. Sheung is just part of Sheung alone. So I can decide that, okay, I want to delete Sheung now. I said what? Sudo user delete or del Sheung. No any error. It won't tell you, but they are this is even CLI. Remember, we have the GUI. For you to be able to operate the CLI of a Linux server, it means every command you are typing in here, you understand how they work. So if I do groups shell now, you see now, it says what? No user, no such user, because it's been deleted. Are we there? Can we move on?
Sorry, sir.
Okay,
Earlier you were saying you wanted to check if the process was still running.
yeah.
So how do you know if the process is still running?
Now when I did user delete, or sorry, sudo user right? He said user is currently used by the process. Now, this is more, there is a way to kill this process, but then we might need to restart the service that this process is running on. There is a service that this process is running on. We might need to restart that service, and when we are doing that, it might obstruct. But I will still show us how to kill a process. I did sudo kill that process ID. This is actually what we call process ID, and I put the process ID 5584. Though it killed the process, but then it's still running when I did, because normally I should be able to delete it if there is still. So it means that there's possibility that there are some other processes that user is still carrying on, or possibly I've logged in with that user before. Now, because if you come to this server, recall that this machine is actually running here. Okay. You see that the person who logged in here is the root, but there are more other users here. I can switch user here. So any other questions why our system is switching users? Anybody asking a question, please?
You just killed EC Vera. No, sorry. You just killed EC Vera's process, but from this user list now, EC Vera was still existing a few seconds
Now,
ago.
we kill the process, we did not delete the user. Do you understand?
What's the what's the difference?
Now, the user is possibly carrying out running a service on the machine. So when we want to delete the user, the machine is telling you that this user is currently running a process. So you can't delete this user. For you to be able to delete this user, kill the process first. Are we
And
there?
the only way to okay. And the only way to kill the process now is to reboot.
We are not rebooting. I'm just saying we want to see the different users that are there and check. We are not going to reboot the main system. We cannot reboot. Remember that one of the key, or one of the benefits of having or using Linux is the fact that you don't have to reboot every now and then. Do you get that?
Come again, please. I didn't get that.
Okay. We say that one of the benefits of using Linux operating system is the fact that it takes it can withstand long time. It's a very stable operating system. We have it there that one of those benefits is highly secured and is stability and performance. No need for rebuild after installation or when you carry out some task on it. You don't have to reboot the system. When you are switching user, you are not rebooting the system. Are we there? Okay. So these are the users we've created here. So let me log in with one of the users. Let me even log in with this guy. Hope I can still remember the password. Since I can't remember the password. Okay, yeah, I can. Good. So we've looked at the shell prompts, the navigation. We have looked at make directory, how to make directory. Let that guy come up. I just showed us what we did yesterday, how to add a user to the wheel group, or how to make a user part of the sudo file. Let's wait for the guy to come up. So who can tell me what does the touch command does? We say it's used to do what? Who can recall that for me? What does the touch command do? Anybody? Anyone? Are we still here, please?
Yes, so we are still here. I cannot remember.
You
The
can't
touch
remember.
command is used to create file.
Thank you. The touch command is used to create a test file. Okay. So
Sorry, I thought that was done with Vim or Nino or something like that.
fantastic. Now, there is difference between a test file and a test editor. Who am I, right? Once you get in and you say this person is what? DevOps. Let's switch to Kayode, Sue Kayode. All right, before I even go to Kayode, let me just cut this. If I type groups DevOps, right? DevOps is only DevOps, meaning there is possibility that DevOps is not even a word. It's not part of the wheel group and will not be able to carry out some administrative tasks. But let's leave that for now. Let's go to Kayode and say, so Kayode now. Kayode 1, 2, 3. Now this is Kayode, right? I want to show us something now. Groups, Kayode. Is Kayode part of the wheel group?
No.
Is not part, right? We confirm that. Now, let's try to see if Kayode can carry out any administrative task. Let me add a user called David. Sudo user add David. Kayode 1, 2, 3. Did you see that he took it? And Kayode is not part of the wheel group. Do you know why?
No, sir.
Okay. And do you want to know?
I
Yes,
think
sir.
I was not given admin privilege.
No, he took it, actually took it. So he's able to add it and he's able to add the guy, password, David. He will do it successfully. New password for David. David 1, 2, 3. David 1, 2, 3. So successfully he did it. And it's not part of the wheel group. So there are different ways through which you can add somebody to the sudo file. But then this is a long process. I was able to search that out today earlier, which was here. I hope I can get it fast for us. If not, I will get it to us later in the next class. But what did I do? I went to the, if I do vim sudo, it says what? Permission denied. In other words, it doesn't have the access. What do I use? Sudo v sudo. Can anyone see what I'm doing here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
If I scroll down, I'm scrolling down, there is a place, will. Did you see this? There's something here we say what? Allow root to run what? Any command anywhere. Did you see this? Can you see that I've put Kayode here what? To also what? Kayode too should be able to run what? All. Do we understand what I'm doing here?
Yes.
Okay. Let me do something. Let me open another terminal here. A new terminal. We have this terminal is running. Okay. There's another terminal here. Remember, let's just switch to Kayode now. No, Kayode created who? He created David, Abi. Pseudo David, right? Or su David. David 123, right? If David wants to carry out, if we say groups David now, David is only David. Let David try to create Jacob, his father. Sorry if I'm using Bible. So let's say sudo user add Jacob, right? We remember this error because it's not part of the word, the sudo file. They said what? David is not in the word sudo file. Are we right? This
Yes, sir.
event will be reported. But now let me add David here now. The way Kayode is here, and try that thing again. So let's say David. Okay. All right. So we say what? David all, right? Open brackets, all as well. Close it. Space all. So we do escape this guy, quit, ban. Sorry, this is supposed to be quit, ban. So now let's try to run the command again. Did you see? Say what? I should put the password. Did you see? David is now able to create Jacob. And we can say sudo password Jacob. He asks us for new password. Jacob 123, Jacob 123. Did you see this? And yet, if you look at the groups of David, it's still only David. Have I done any magic here, please? Hello?
I
Are we still in this class?
Yeah, yes, sir. I will see, sir.
Okay. Any magic? Have I done any magic?
Yes, so there's magic. I don't understand.
Lot of magic.
Okay. This is it. Just get this one command. Very. important. This is the one command you should get and not forget.
I cannot
Just
see your screen.
how about
Okay, I
now?
can see it now.
Okay. Get this
Yes.
command, very important. The command I shared the last time. I want to add a user to the wheel group. Now, obviously, Jacob is not part of the wheel group yet. And if I want to add Jacob to the wheel group, I have to have I have to use an account or a user who is part of the wheel group. Kayode is an example of the guy that is part of the root. He has access the same way the root administrator has access. I share that with us here. Look at this sudo this now. Look at this. We can see root here, right? Root can perform all functions. He said allow root to run any command anywhere. Did you see it? Allow what? Root to run any command anywhere. And I carry Kayode there too to be able to do any command, any. So Kayode don't even have to be part of the wheel group in order to be able to do that. Now look at this one. Now, it now say what? Allow people in the group wheel to run all commands. Are you seeing that too? So same thing without a password, wheel group too should be able to do that. So what do I need to do? Anytime I want to make a user part of the wheel group, David is already part of the wheel group because I've made him under the root user. I'll say what? Sudo. Who can remind the command again? Who can remind me the command? Sudo what? User mode, right? Hyphen A capital G will. You want to make Jacob part of the wheel group. Are we here?
Yes, sir. I will see.
Okay. Now let me come back to this place. That guy I showed you um what's it called? Two. Yes. Let's look at the groups that what Jacob belongs to. Groups Jacob. Jacob is only Jacob and he cannot do anything. But let's try to add Jacob now to the wheel group here. Remember this command, very important. User sudo user mode hyphen a g wheel Jacob. Enter. Now let's come back here now and test group Jacob. Do we see any difference?
Yes, sir.
And what's the difference now?
The wheel is added to it.
So Jacob is now part of the wheel group. In other words, Jacob is going to be able to do what? Carry out administrative tasks. If this is all we gain today, it's very good and it's enough. Are we there?
Yes.
Okay. So let's move on to the next thing for today. Go and practice over and over again in your at your own leisure or your own leisure. So we look at the cat command, right? When we do LL here, we say cat command is helps us to do what? Before we go further, we say the cat command helps us to do what?
Display the content of the file.
Fantastic, thank you. Help us to display the content of a file. If I say man cat, don't know what the cat command can do, you can quickly do it. And it says what? It says concatenate file and print on the what? On the standard output. Let's quit. So let's try to see the content in what? In Kayode Kayode one dot test, right? So we can say cat Kayode one, right? dot test. What did they say? He said, thank you for using what? Nano test editor. So let's cut the second guy. Cut Kayode dot test. Miss Esther, what was this saying to us?
This is my second training.
Okay, fantastic. So anytime I want to read the content of a file, recall, anytime I want to read the content of a file and I want it to be displayed on my output or on my CLI page, I use the cat command. Now, I can create a file by using the word touch, right? Touch Esther dot test. If I do ls, you see this? I use the what? The touch command to create it. Now, let me remove it or let me delete it. We use the word rm Esther dot test. What happens if I do ls again? Can you still see it? Miss Esther, is it still there?
Yes, sir.
The file is still there?
No.
No, it's gone. So what command we use to delete it? A test file now.
RM.
Rm. So I can say rm Kayode dot test. That's gone, right? So if I do ll, what's remaining here? We only have Kayode one dot test, right? Good. Let's go back to our. So we've looked at the what? The make directory. We've looked at the touch. We've looked at the echo, and we've looked at the what? Remove or delete. We've also looked at the what? The cat command. Are we there?
Yes, sir.
We've looked at the VI, we've looked at Vim, we've looked at Nano. Now, let me quickly explain something in Nano or something to us here. Look at this. I can say Nano Esther dot test. And I say, thank you for joining the class today, guys. It's a big honor having you guys in class. Cloud automation is the goal. Regards. Let's regards. Esther. This nano test editor. And I tell you, if you look down, you will see what? Control X to what? To exit. So you press what? Control X. Said, did you want to save it? You say Y. Yes. Enter. Now let's do ls. Did you see that we now have what? Esther.test. I don't need to use what? I don't need to use the touch file, the touch command to create Esther.test. I just use nano straight away. And I'm able, if I cut Esther.test now, did you see this? Miss Esther, can you read this to us?
Thank you for joining the class today, guys. It's a big honor having you guys in class. Cloud automation is the goal. Best regard, Esther.
What did you see we've done here? Instead of having to first of all use touch to create the file and then use nano or vim or vi to now open a text editor, I just use the nano straight away and I'm able to create my file just like a short cut. I can use vi. Are we there? I can use vi and say shola dot test. You see, this is another text editor, which is the vi. So for us to insert anything here, we need to press I. You now say, thank you, great minds. This innovative experience. We are going somewhere. It's just a matter of time, guys. Let's guys. Now, this is the reason why I prefer nano, but then it's your choice, anyone you want to do. Here now, when you are done here, for you to leave this one now, you need to press escape. That's the first key. Escape. Then your shift key and semicolon. If you look down now, you see the semicolon. Then quit. W for write and Q for quit. Write and quit. Then you press enter. If I do ls now, you will see shola dot test, right? And if I cut shola dot test, you see what? Thank you, great minds, for this innovative experience. They are going somewhere. It's just a matter of time, guys. Best regards. Do you understand what we have just done here? Or have I done any magic?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I'm with you, sir.
So you can make choice of any of the text editor that you feel comfortable with. You can go online, search. For me, I know most of the people I've been using, my instructors, they've always liked vi or vim, but me, I'm so much in love with nano because everything I want to do is just there, and that's the whole essence. But then one of the reasons why you must know how to use vi is because you can meet a system that is old version. You got, are you with me now? And every Linux has vi by default. So sometimes you might need to have to install nano in order to be able to use nano, and you are not given the permission to be able to install it. Maybe probably you are not part of the will group. You understand? All right, thank you. So that can do that for us. Fine. Let's treat one more command and we call it a day for today. Let's clear this guy. What is cp? Can anybody tell me what cp means? Anybody? Anyone?
Copy files and direct.
You are reading. All right, it's fine. That's the purpose of having it. It's used to copy files and what? And directories. So what does that mean now? Let's come to David. This is David, right? LL. Let's clear this guy. Let's say ls. You can see that David did not have any directory, right? Are we still in this class?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
David
Yes,
does
sir. I'm
not
with
have
you,
any
sir.
directory. So let's make a directory. So, Mr. Shola, can you help us? Let's create a directory. How do I create a directory? Let's go. Yes, this is expected to be an interactive class. How do I create a directory? We say make directory, right? mkdir. So then the next thing is the name of the directory. So let's call the directory to be what? Document. So if I do ls now, what happened? I should have what? A directory called document. Let's create another directory. Let's call this one utilities. So ls. Let's make another one shoes. ls. So we have three what? Three directories under DB. And we say that what? CP is used to copy files and directory. So let's create a file here. Touch linux.test ls. You see that? So we can copy this linux.test a file, or let's put something inside this file. How many of us are still in this class?
We are still with you, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Shola. Miss Esther, are you still here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, let's try to put something inside this linux.test. I can use my nano, right? Nano linux.test. Let me say this is cool. So Control X. You see it's very fast. That's why I don't need to be pressing. So that's why I prefer nano. So now if I cut linux.test, this is cool. Fine. So now we want to copy this from the home directory into document. Let's cd into document. What does cd means? Change what? Directory. If I
Change directory.
if I change into document now, ls, you see that there is nothing here, right? Nothing, nothing. ll, nothing, right? So let's come out now. Let's now copy this linux.test. Let's copy it into document. We will now use cp linux.test slash home slash what? Document. Okay, what did he say? Permission denied. So
Cannot
what
create.
do you need to do? Sudo. Are you there? So let's use our sudo.
Yes, sir.
He said what? Provide what? Password. David123. Did you see what we have done here? ls. Let's change to document again now. cd document. ls. Sorry. ls. Now the linux dot file or dot test is expected to be in our document now. But let's say copy or secure copy. Okay. So let's clear our screen first. cd ls. So we said copy sudo copy home and document. Okay, it said missing destination file operand after this. CP helps for more information. Okay, see. Give me a minute. So this ls, right? Are we still in class, please?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay. So we know that linux.test, our linux.test is in the home directory of David. Let's print working directory. You said what? Home slash what? David. So I want to copy this Linux file into the document directory. Now, look at this part. Very important. When you want to copy, this is the part you have to follow. So I said sudo what? cp to copy the file I want to copy, linux.test, then slash home slash David, then slash the directory I want to copy, which is what? Document. Enter. Did you see this? So if I go to the document now, enter, and I do ls, you see my what? My linux dot what? Test is now in document. You see before, when we did it, it was 0, but now we have it here. I can as well copy this file to utilities. Should we? Now, if I want to check the directory I'm going to follow, I will do print working directory. So if I'm going to do it, I have to do what? Sudo copy it from here. But remember, before I do that copy, let me come out and check. Let's check our utilities. If you cd to utilities, do we have anything here?
No.
No. ls, nothing. So now I want to copy the directory from the document folder or the document directory to utility. So I say print working directory so that I can see home slash David slash document. So I say sudo cp slash, what did I want to copy? The linux dot what? The file I want to copy, file name, then slash what? Home slash what? David slash what? Document. And then the place I want to copy it to, which is utilities. Did we see this? Remember, when you do not see any error, it tells you that what you have put is what is taken. So,
Accepted.
so I'll now clear the screen now. Let's go back. ls, right? Let's go to the utility. Change directory to what? Utilities. If you do what? ls, what's happening? We did not see it there. So something is wrong. ll, ll, nothing is there. So let's go back to our file again and say cd, going back again, ls or ll. Let's move it from this normal directory and see how it goes if it remove. Okay, let's even go to our documents. We have a command. When you are using your arrow key, you can use it to navigate. So instead of having documents here, we're not supposed to have documents here. This is the command that we just need. It will go. We don't need to put the command because the path we have to follow is home slash David. It is from David's directory that we have utilities. So if I go back now and do cd to utilities and do ls, did you see the linux test now? Have I done any magic, please?
I'm following you, sir. I'm following you, sir.
Okay, do we get what we've done here?
Yes, sir.
They are still processing it.
And you will, it's a matter of time. Practicing, practicing. So if I go to my document now, I have the linux.test and I have utilities there. If I go to my utilities, I have the linux.test there. So with this, I want to call it a day for today's class. So I want to welcome questions. Does anybody have a question? So we have been able to look at the make directory, touch, echo, remove, cat. We play with Vim, with the text editors Nano and VI. So we've looked at the copy. Next class, we're going to be looking at move command. So we've looked at Su already. We'll look at the grep and the search command. And then we'll now be beginning to prepare the network, the machines to network and so on. So does anyone have any question